LJL Spring Playoffs 2021. Detonation FocusMe currently lead the series 1-0. We've been talking a little bit about in this break about what we need to see change if V3 are to kind of come back and take some of the advantage they had in that game one and turn it into a victory. And our primary V3 proponent and supporter, Counterfeit, tell me about Cog and what you need to see from him, because you were a little bit frustrated with what V3 did to your poor boy in the top lane.
I mean, we were writing our notes during game one and during the draft. I was like, I'm so excited, we're gonna see the Jace in this game. And they were just teasing us with it. They put my boy, Cog, on a supportive role. And we know that it's not allowed. Cog can't just be another cog in the machine. They need to be front and center if V3 are gonna win. So I think they did my boy dirty in that last game. And that's got to change for game two.
Does anyone else want to add in that? I mean, Karma into Gnar when the Gnar's the first pick. Sorry, Maple?
He was only half as effective as he wanted to be. He was just one cog instead of cog.
I was expecting deep analysis.
Can we turn off his mic and just like move him away?
I don't know. Gnar. If you're red side, ban Gnar.
Red side ban Gnar. Cog for every in Cog. Oh.
V3
No, for every in Cog. There we go. You've started me on it now.
It was incognito in that game.
Yeah, very good. All right, okay. I'm stopping it here. I'm the caster. I'm the one who does puns. We leave these ones alone. Joshi, you had some thoughts on Nocturne you wanted to bring up as well.
I do. Yeah. So if you've been watching my streams elsewhere on like Academy and in North America, you'll know I'm not a big fan of the Nocturne these days. As a big Nocturne player myself, I think the champion sucks. That said, there was some pretty decent opportunities that DFM played with it. They were able to play with tempo pretty heavily, and they got some fights started before V3 had set up. We talked about how V3 needed to be at objectives first. They weren't. Nocturne was like, hey, you're not ready? All right, we're fighting now. So they were able to do that. But you look at where it is in the draft. It was picked second. And you know what preceded it? Senna and Tahm Kench. Who are you killing as this Nocturne?
Tahm Kench saves who you dive on, right? I mean, that was a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, we saw this a couple of times. Like, Steel didn't do that much damage. He didn't have a whole lot of impact in terms of his champion, and really almost any major engaged champion could have fulfilled this role. And it worries me that they are kind of reliant on it, and they kind of got away with it because of the way that V3 ended up building their composition without any actual engaged tools, without any real proactive crowd control. And I think it's something that Detonation FocusMe, if they have the same kind of priority on this later on, are going to set themselves up in ways where they will not scale later on into the game. So I want to see this change into something else that we've seen Steel play.
Bit of a fly in the ointment there for DFM. They built themselves a dive comp, but with doing the set, the Nocturne, the Gnar, hell, the Kai'Sa coming in afterwards with the Killer Instinct, but you're doing it into a Tahm Kench and all that zone control was a bit risky, and maybe that can be something that could be punished, something you want to see tightened up in draft, and I have to concur. Maple as well, I know you kind of had some thoughts about Kazu. You've coached the guy. It was a mixed bag, I think it's fair to say, for game one.
Yeah, a few of the set engages were a bit suicidal and ill-advised, I should say.
I mean, you're not wrong. He definitely went to die once or twice there.
But, it's his fourth champion. He still has a lot of champions left in his pool. He still has Alistar and Rel. And he can bring out Gragas. So,
woohoo!
They experimented a little bit. And the Nocturne, it's not ideal into the Tahm Kench, but they used her ult very well. They used it every time it's off cooldown. They got an ult mid. They got the flash. They ulted mid again. They got the kill, but sacrificed a few people. They're practiced on it. It's just sometimes Kazu baits the team.
Yeah, little bit of baiting. What do you want to see change on that front then? If you're not convinced by the set, you just want to see him go back to those picks you mentioned before, basically.
Yeah, it's hard to mess up on Alistar and Rel, and even if you throw yourself in the middle of the team, you're still really tanky on Alistar and Rel. You get so much bonus stats where you can survive an extra rotation of skills not regret everything.
What then do you think that the Alistar or Rel brings that the set doesn't? Because set, I mean, we've seen how much effective HP this champion has in a lot of these engages just by throwing out the shield, right? What makes Alistar and Rel unique in your eyes?
Well, it's harder to mess up, Like
A
you
little
press
easier to
W,
play,
queue it
a little
up.
bit lower execution barrier.
Okay,
Something to that. All right, I do want to move us back over. Counterfeit, take us over to V3 a little bit more. What more do you want to see from this team to have some more chance in this game? They had some options in that last one. What more do they need to do to take themselves over the edge in this next game?
Well, if we could just pop back to the post-game breakdown a second, there was I think, a fairly good illustration there of what I'd like to see change specifically. You notice on the gold graph there's a specific moment in the game where things start to look bad for our friends V3 Esports, and that's that 60-minute team fight where they lost 5-0. Given what we know about Destination Focus Me and how well they can thrive in the early going, I think if V3 could just keep working the trajectory they were going on, you can see they were winning. They were getting stronger and stronger from that point. It was that one big team fight that if they just didn't take it, maybe we could be looking at a very different result.
All right, in that case, Counterfeit, you get the last point here as well. I believe you had something for us before we cut back to game, because I think we're about to hit picks and bans fairly shortly.
Yes, and just to be a completely one-note person, if you see the opportunity to put Kokok on a carry, do it.
And with that beautiful moment of Star Wars memery, I'm going to switch roles to the play-by-play and get Counterfeit off screen as quickly as I can. Switches over, Patrick.
Get us out of here. Get us out of here.
It was said.
No! Not you as well!
It was said there was only one hope to face down Dark Counterfeit at the LJL Casted S, but alas, there was a new hope, a Poro hope, in the fact of the returning superhero in Poro Man, and a returning draft phase for the finals.
I am surrounded by dangerous and awful people. Thank you again, Analyst Desk. I am surrounded by Sith Lords, apparently. I need the help of the Jedi to help survive this horrible mix of two. Who's the master and who's the apprentice between Counterfeit and Nymera? Who knows? What I do know is we're into picks and bans for Game 2. V3 over on the blue side, DFM over on the red.
Okay, so, V3, side choice, not choosing red side. That's important, because, I mean, I look at this, and it means that DFM have to give over the first pick, nah.
They do indeed. It's a bit of a risky one to give over. And it gets through the pick and bans phase again. Cog gets hands on it this time. We'll have to see whether DFM have something cooked up to response. The karma for Cog really didn't work out that well in the last game for it. And instead, maybe Ebby's got something in hand. They will have to get their hands on the Hecarim that was banned away last time. Mugen doesn't really play it or doesn't like to play it that much.
Oh, they gave up Trist as well?
They got Tristana.
Okay, so I get Nara's important. I get that Kokok is damn good at that champion, but those are two of the strongest picks in the meta game right now. This is 11.5, not 11.6, certainly not the live patch of 11.7, but having the flex pick between Utapon, Arya, and potentially Ebby as well for that Tristana, dangerous. It's red side too. V3, they have to now kind of play very face up on the table because they can't really take into account all of the combinations that DFM can put towards them.
We called it out a little bit in the pre-game as well. Joshi mentioned it. The Olaf was the option for Mugen. It'll be locked in alongside the Samira. I am ready to make all the Devil May Cry references I could hope to, and that will be the answer into the Tristana. We'll see whether it works out. Of course, Samira, as I understand it, I've definitely had a few buffs in recent patches. See whether that'll be enough.
Yeah, your later ranks of Q and the attack speed you get from Wild Rush does increase, so it means that your all-in potential is strong, particularly once you get to that level 9 mark and your flare, while its lower ranks up, not great for your all-inning, very good at later stages, and that's why we saw that Hollow came out to a huge set of games on the Samira against even the likes of Gango on his Aphelios, one of his famed champions.
Yeah, the response as well. Getting that Gragas in, it's a flex pick, as we've mentioned. It goes towards Kazu, it goes towards Ebby, both happy to play it. And there's room for this to get moved around, even if, as we said, Kazu's champion pool, a little limited this split.
We're likely to see just Ebby on the Gragas playing placeholder and just being like, okay, sure, I'm just gonna soak up farm, soak up experience. I'm not really gonna be the pressure valve in that top side. They could still lock in something like an Akali if they wanted to and say, okay, yes, we can have this as either a Gnar counter or have it there flexed into the mid and then just kind of hold the...
Trist flex as well, right?
Trist as a flex as well. So DFM have multiple options, but when they have had multiple options, often they've tripped up in the last couple of picks. We do see the Urgot banned away from Ebby. He played it, well, he has played it once or twice in his pro career from my knowledge.
Played it a lot last spring, I believe.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That was the Lissandra Urgot, matter of fact, actually, for a little while. We do have the Shen Hobbit. Now, that'll be something different.
It would be a little bit of a change, and of course that still is a bit of a flex. There's a world where that could go support still, but it could also be going top, which would make a lot of sense. It's a way to back up Hecarim more than anything. It's a way to back up Tristana. Your Hecarim Shen combo, very potent.
Okay, so out of all of Ebby's top champions, so that's 1, 2, 3, oh no, that's his top 10 champions, Ebby has one where he has a lower than 50% win rate. That's Shen. It is his 4th most played champion of all time. He has a 46% win rate over 13 games. So not the most historically successful champion for that top laner. One of his most played nonetheless.
The Shen will be matched by the Twisted Fates. We've got Global for Global right now. But of
Not
course,
bad, yeah.
Shen Leona was the way that DFM were playing it last summer, and it looked very deadly. Didn't manage to get them to the win in that split, but it was certainly a good combo. Speaking of the Leona, Reina, I believe, locking it in last there. So we've got Samira Leona, pretty deadly combo for the all-ins. They've got a Twisted Fate to turn up with an Olaf down there as well.
So, Ryze is an option again, actually, but it's
Whoa,
Kassadin.
okay.
Okay, last time we saw a Kassadin from Arya, I believe it was Summer Split. It was in one of the very first weeks, and he got something like 2 triple kills and a double kill, and had I think he had the most kills in a single game of any player in the split at that point worldwide. He absolutely popped off. It has been a while since we've seen Arya on this pick, but Kassadin is definitely a decent answer into the Twisted Fate. If you try and match up in side lanes, things get awkward. Of course, then you do need to worry about the Everfrost gold card combos, but Kassadin, definitely an option now to solo carry in that late game for this all-star mid laner.
Okay, so now, of course, we're assuming Shen top, we're assuming Gragas bottom with the timer gone past 20 seconds. That will be the options. Detonation FocusMe again with a bit of a dive combo. Kassadin, Hecarim, Shen all looking to go in with the Tristana and the Gragas as well. A little bit more global pick options from the side of V3, but again, Samira Leona not exactly looking to stay plat. They want to go in as well.
That they do. So, at least this time V3 can supplement their composition with more CC than they had in the last one. No Karma for Cog. It is going to be the Gnar instead, which has been such an important carry for this player on the top side for V3. Muji on the Olaf, yes, it has fallen off in priority. He can still build a stride breaker on this champion. Might be a bit more fitting on this one, though.
Some stats again for Cog's Gnar, at least in the regular season. He got 3 games of it, got a 9.8 KDA, 567 odd DPM, 27.1% damage percentage, gets about a half a kill a minute on the champion, or at least half a kill involvement. Had an incredible series of games on this champion. He's really, really good. Ebby last game hard carried on the Narg, found some fantastic engages. Cog's chance to try and do that again here, but Ebby's basically saying, like, you're probably playing weak side. I'm playing around my bot lane. I've got a Shen. I get there more easily than you do.
Shen can beat out Gnar. Shen has a very strong matchup into most tank and off-tank matchups because of the buffs to his passive with the shield when he calls the sword to him and amongst other things. I just did a bit of hunting for the one game which Arya did play on the Kassadin. Last time we played it, 12-2-1. It was CGA versus Burning Core, the marquee matchup for the Fiesta in the LJL
last year,
of 2020.
my days, yes.
In that game, he had a 35% damage share of his team, and he got, I think it was a quadra kill in that one. It was an absolute standout performance against the likes of V3 in the finals. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy opposition, not quite so easy pickings on these skirmishes. Definitely the ability to go in and assassinate the likes of the Samira. If you do go for the Everfrost, which has been a promising, a prioritized build rather, on the Kassadin, the spin wall, the blade wall, it's the spin wall. That's how I remember it. Doesn't block out Everfrost, to my knowledge. It also doesn't block out the Kassadin E. Lots of damage, unavoidable here for Hollow. And the Shen Taunt, lots of things which Hollow needs to be very wary of on this Samira.
Okay, he needs to be a little bit careful about when he's deciding to pull the Inferno trigger, or he would be end up more like Virgil than Dante. DMC references that just make themselves when it comes to Samira. Other thing I do want to touch on is to go back towards this Kassadin. Obviously, it's changed a fair amount in terms of how you play the champion with the item rework compared to the last time we saw Ari on the jab. It's a little bit, spikes a bit earlier, is the impression I get these days for Kassadin.
Well, you don't get yourselves a Rod of Ages. Trough tier is much more affordable, and you don't have to go towards the Seraphs even as your second item if you don't want to. You can go towards something like Azania's if you feel like. Actually, in this game, probably not the worst thing ever either. So things to touch on that our analysts were either annoyed or impressed by. Muujin, are you going to go for a bit of a scuffed early path to get yourself a kill and fall behind in CS against the Hecarim? What we saw Muujin doing very well on the likes of the Lilia, on the likes of the Olaf, is making sure that he could punish that champion pre-6, just manhandle that jungler, even though it was such a first-pick priority for the side of Sengoku and Crash in particular. Still, though, is he going to fall prey to that? Have to wait and see.
Both junglers doing the same deal of starting towards their top sides and moving towards the bot. The difference is that Ebby leashed for Muujin, but he gets a nice trade onto the Gnar there. Good stuff from him. Cog, quiet game one, in all honesty. It's not what we saw in the last couple of series, and he might be one of those people who does need to step up and make counted here, because that Gnar was a first pick for this team. It needs to be worth its priority as Kazu finds a max range body slam. Level 2 comes through. Colo having to flash away. That's a lot of summoners burned immediately in the bot lane by DFM.
And when I think of Tristana counters, I think of stuff which can stop her completing her jump. If you can land and then put the bomb mid-air onto someone and then land, the extra damage you get and the slow to pin them in place for an extra auto means that the kill pressure from Tristana is just overwhelming. DFM, they stack up the wave, they get the early summoners out of Hollow. Good stuff from the 2v2. Kazuya this time, not caught flat-footed, leads the charge on the Gragas.
You can see the AI power spike graph there, slowly trending towards DFM as the game goes. Oh, sorry, slowly trending towards V3. I apologize as the game goes on. I'm so used to blue being DFM's color, as in goes the side of Hollow and Reiner. Muujin is here. Kazu trying to get his way out, but I don't think he has room to get away. It's another early gank. This time, surely, Kazu will go down. Hollow gets first blood, and Utapon doesn't get much say in that one at all.
No, he does not. So, still full clearing. What happened was Muujin skipped out on going towards an early scuttle, and he skipped out on his Krugs too. TFM just praised them for getting control over that lane, and they kind of fumbled the landing after that point. Didn't have adequate vision to spot out Olaf, nor do you have anything really coming from mid lane at that point, and Steel is not at a point where you can impact this lane. So once again, V3, early kill, first blood, and this time it's onto Hollow.
Ace and Muujin will roam over towards the top side, and that means that Muujin gets himself a double scuttle to boot on everything else as well.
Yeah,
and Steel just says, okay, well, I'm just going to roam back to top and start full clearing again. He'll get towards his Krugs on spawn and try and make sure he's heading towards level 6 as quickly as possible.
Okay, so game plan on point for V3. Try and curtail DFM's early game. Keep them out of that game. Ebby trading okay into Cog right now. Actually, as I say that, he's taking an awful trade.
He is indeed. Has got himself flashed as well. Might to use it. The Undertow lands, but Steel is around. Bolotos is there, but the shield available to keep Ebby alive for now. He might cede a bit of his lane here as Ace roaming up, but he'd be doing so into a fair amount of trouble. Does mean that Ebby's going to lose a lot of this wave.
That he is. A big wave crashed into tower. Steel and Ebby, though, not going to be cancelled in the recalls. Actually, with the cannon at wave, looks like Ebby
won't lose so much.
He's not going to lose quite so much. Does lose the cannon. That sucks, but he's going to get most of this wave under tower. It's not the worst case scenario. Although, actually, from all this, Muujin takes another camp, has the double scuttle, steals away a Raptor camp. Steel going to be much further behind than he was in this last game. Muujin with the early gank, much more efficient about it this time.
Indeed. Using that lane priority a little better in mid lane in particular. Gets the lane pressure of DFM punished with Utapon and Kazu shoved up. But Kazu is in mid lane. Could look for something onto Ace, who gets slowed by the Q from Arya. Here's the blue card, and that's not as much as you'd like. Not what you want to see. The stun, Kazu over the wall, and Ace, he's got flash, but I don't think he's got all that many ways out of here. The Force Pulse comes out, and there's a blast cone there. I think he just gets out.
Wait, we just talked about Darth Hartnell, Darth Counterfeit, and the return of the Jedi and the good
Flash
powers.
Taunt! That's going to be a fair amount of CC, but there's another blast cone! Surely not! Surely not! He gets out!
Ace,
Mutin's
not-
here as well now. They're going to try and turn this around into 2v2. There's not that much damage, and that massive shield stays people alive. The Spirit's Refuge still going to get punished. DFM over Chase, and Ice does manage to get the kill, having run through the entirety of DFM's red side.
What the hell did I just watch? I was ready to start punning, making jokes about how we joked about Star Wars, and then we had a Cassidy in the game to make things really double down on the Darth Vader point, and then the fight just kept going. I mean, that was just a massive overcommit in the early game, once again from DFM. Saw it from Kazu and Steel trying to make plays onto Ace.
Another wave.
In the early game of game 1. We see it again in the early game, trying to put down Ace in game 2. Try and gank the TF post 6, that's fine. Steel pops the Ghost early, but ends up running out pretty much towards the end of this. Doesn't get an extra kill to reset that, and I think that Steel probably could have gone around the other side of that red buff and cut him off at the pass. It did not happen. Ace uses double Blast Cone and resets the fight. And after that point, it just seems like DFM just don't understand where they stand on this map. They can't close down Ace or Mugen. When Olaf is at this point of HP, that's the golden zone. He has more DPS. You can't stand there and fight. Ebby's left to die.
Spirit's Refuge runs out, and Refuge for keeping Ebby alive also falls away. And he loses about 10 CS as a result of that. He'll move back towards top lane. Not quite at level 6 yet. Cog is already there. Arya has hit level 6, and that is just the minute. V3 with a pretty significant early advantage. Mugen with the level 6 available get to run onto Steel.
Oh, TF
teleping, but there's a Shen ult as well. They're going to try and turn this around. In goes Arya, starting to void walk forwards.
Oh,
but
his TP is
Ebby
cancelled.
does have his spirits, the Stand United, I apologize, cancelled by Cog. Not quite sure how. I'm assuming with either probably what looks like a wallop by the looks of it.
Looks like it. The ult's still available from Cog, and that's the only other cancel available. So, DFM, they do manage to save their jungler, but they do have now, well, about a level and a half down in the jungle matchup. Absolutely reversing the fortunes of both these junglers from that first game. DFM, a little bit on life support in this early game already, honestly.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not even going to blame Steel for this in a lot of ways, aside from not going right way around the red buff. Like, this is just some of his solo lanes, particularly Ebby, just overstepping a bit, really, and giving Mugen a lot of license to get into his jungle.
That they are. So Arya still doing well on the casting. That's scary. As soon as DFM get to slot into any kind of sideline style of play, V3 are going to be on the back foot. What that means is that V3 need to just need to keep throwing out punches. That's why exactly with the Olaf, with the TF, they're just going to keep running up, keep the tempo of this game high, and try and make sure that DFM don't have a chance to slot into the play pattern, which will see them at a more comfortable point of power. While all this is happening, the bot lane still somewhat even. Reiner going to take the Blast Cone to safety. That's happened a couple of times now for V3's members.
That's the third time Steel has been frustrated by Blast Cones in recent memory. Getting a bit difficult there. Ebby about to lose his first turret up here, probably. Here comes the dive as well. I don't know how much Ruby's going to have to get out of here. No Destiny or Teleport available for Ace, but the charge will come through. This tower is surely not long for the world. Got a bit of a freeze frame, so I have no idea if Ebby survived. One we'll find out in a moment or two.
That's what we're looking for. Herald dies the tower.
It does indeed. Now Ebby going to have to try and outplay under there. Does get the taunt, but the Ragnarok cancels it out. Ebby has got a Spirit's Refuge available, but I don't know how much more time he's got to try and stay alive. He just dies.
He just dies. He has the Spirit's Refuge, does cut out a lot of Olaf's damage. Not nearly enough. First tower down in the top side. This time V3 have a draft, which it is worth ganking top.
3k
gold.
Worth
putting down Ebby. That's 3k gold now over in the advantage for V3, and it is almost entirely in the hands of that top jungle 2v2. V3 putting Ebby in the dirt.
Steel finally gets Onslaught of Shadows, but he's still 2 levels behind this Olaf that is off to a meteoric start.
God. Oh my Gideonson. And that's a K.5 in that top side, and in the jungle, it's 1.3k2. DFM losing out comprehensively on the top side of the map.
Every lane is down at least a little bit of gold, but it is notoriously bad in the top jungle 2v2, as you mentioned. About 1,500 apiece between those laners.
Just seeing on the notes, which are being written on the side here, just a very fun little fact. Ebby, well, against Cog in that gold disparity, Cog has as much gold in inventory as Ebby has made total the entire game right now. He has just been whacked with the wallet at this point. It's only going to get worse from here. Stride Breaker near to completion for Cog. Ebby will not be able to leave his tower, and of course he's already lost that first one for the majority of this game now.
2 deaths now have cost him a lot in this game. The first one roaming down towards the jungle, towards the river on the overchase from to Ace. cost him most of the 2 waves. It's happened again now. He's died to Utapon, about to get chased a little bit here by Reiner, but has got Kazu behind him, so likely pretty safe. Both go over the wall with their various dashes, and that'll be us taking a moment to breathe. Still a little while on the Dragon to come up, and V3 just commandingly ahead in this game, about 4,000 now.
So DFM, what do they have in the playbook to come back in this game? They are aware that V3 have themselves their ults available right now. They're waiting for the next hammer blow to fall from Muujin, from Ace with that ultimate. What are they going to do to respond from that? At least Arya has priority in that. Mid lane is getting farm. Maybe if you turn around a play and Kassadin gets 1 or 2 kills, especially if you get yourself a shutdown, if the likes of Muujin and Kog'Kog do end up gaining those from the leads that they currently have, you can play around that. Particularly if you start one-shotting AD carries, and Utapon can disengage the likes of the Gnar, and same with Kazu too, where between the Buster Shot.
Here we go.
Whoa, might need to use it now.
Yeah, see whether the Stand United comes through. Kazu's still pretty
Shen
happy
ult.
stepping forward. The Shen ult is here, but he's dead before he can complete. That is a disaster. It's now a 3v3 as a teleport secured by Arya, but he's just dead. Kazu dies far too quickly. It's a 4th kill over. Muujin uses his gold advantage super well. Now maybe he's getting gnarred into the wall. Buffers out of it relatively well with the Shadow Dash, but now with all the autos flying, Kog'Kog can just continue the assault on this top lane tier 2.
2 globals used in response to that play from DFM. And Muujin
Muujin.
Arya.
He's going to find him. Actually, it could be a little bit difficult here because there is, well, there's the horse as well, but I don't think Steel really wants it. He's still 2 levels down.
But he does, so still, again, just looking for anything to gain across the map. Use the Ghost in that too. DFM use resources, they lose a kill. It's Kazu again, who does get caught out, and that's another assist onto Hollow Samira, which is always very dangerous, because if you do try and get that pick onto the first person, and it isn't the Samira, and DFM don't have the luxury of choosing right now, I think they just have to choose whoever's in front of them, Hollow might just be able to turn things around, particularly with that shield bow.
Yeah, he's definitely going towards that point. Ebby as well, just will have no pressure in this lane ever in this game anymore. There is no chance of that. Steel as well is kind of the big loser in this as well with the pressure. It means that he just never gets to go into his red side jungle again. It's gonna continue to get worse in there. Muujin has taken over this early game, and he's continuing to be an absolute terror on the Rift.
Yeah, and just a reminder of the stats coming into this as Arya is just seeing what he can do in this mid lane. Kog'Kog against the DFM organization versus after that first game is 3-31 versus DFM. He has beaten Ebby twice in his entire playing career since 2015 or whenever he started playing in the LJL. I'm trying to remember when their first game ever was. It was in 2016, the last time he even beat him in an individual game. He's waiting for that first win. This may well be the best chance he's had in quite some years. He's looking to, again, the phrase we used before in last game, stick the landing against this now a completely emaciated, anemic Shen.
It is about 5,000 gold as a difference here right now between the 2 teams. Of course, DFM have some nice wombo combos. They can get a lot of dangerous picks, a lot of members in a side lane really quickly between a Hecarim, a Shen, and a Kassadin, but they've got to not fall behind too much further, because at this point, I think V3 maybe got close to an insurmountable lead.
It's looking pretty close to that. Genuinely, at this point, you're waiting for a stray kill to ender its way onto either Utapon or Arya. After that point, maybe you can start threatening V3 with one pop-off performance, but if you're diving into, the Olaf as the casting, that's not easy either.
Steel's going to think about stepping forwards. Had the devastating charge available, but couldn't quite find what he was looking for. Muujin's around the corner. Going to try and fight over this ward. That'll force the devastating charge, not the ghost. I apologize, out of Steel. He does get away, but Muujin just refusing to let any of this vision go. Throws an axe. Kazu in the bush as well.
And why should he? He has the advantage. He's got the ascendancy. Olaf is at his strongest when he's pushing into the enemy jungle. When he's out there saying, yeah, I'm going to have my backup. I have myself the global advantage. It doesn't matter if you have a Shen ult. Kog'Kog will probably just cancel that too. V3 once again showing that they can deal with the Hecarim, and they're doing it again comprehensively against DFM, just the way they did to Sengoku.
Another turret goes down in favor of V3, but now Kog'Kog could find himself in a difficult position. Here come the rest of DFM looking to get onto the mini Gnar. That'll be surely coming around very shortly. Shot back into the wall. The Everfrost is there. Will this be the first kill for DFM? But no! Kog'Kog just flashes the wall, and now Ace is here to try and turn it around.
They just don't have the damage. They don't have the gold.
Utapon.
Utapon shorts the jump.
He does short the jump. He's got a flash, but it's not going to be enough. The solar flare. He flew a little too close to the sun, or perhaps not far enough, and V3 just find Utapon in translation.
Utapon, with the game stock W, he shorts it. Doesn't get the right amount of distance, and does not get away from Muujin and from Reiner. 5 kills to none. Actually, V3, they would be on course for a perfect game were it not for that dragon being taken earlier by DFM. Gonna go back to that replay. Ebby tries to find an opening onto Cog. For the first time in a very long time, DFM find themselves with an opportunity to make a proactive play. It's just not enough. Cog has too much gold already. He has, 500 less gold. Maybe he doesn't have that extra gold to complete a component, complete an item. And Utapon gets tagged by the axe, doesn't hit the W with particularly long range. Muujin capitalizes.
One dead Tristana later, and V3 continue their snowball in this game. And what a snowball it is. I called for a 3-0 win for DFM. I suspect I'm going to be real wrong real quickly.
I'm just saying, fate, it seems, has a sense of irony. I myself thought maybe there is one last 3-2 left in the tank for LJL Spring 2021. And how great would it be to see these two, which battle it out so hard in 2020. They went 9-8 in games between each other, the one being held by DFM over V3. Across the entirety of these orgs' histories, DFM have a much higher winning record. But V3, since 2020 started, have been an ample foil to DFM, and they have foiled them. They took that title away in summer 2020. DFM really looking to regain their dominance.
Cog stepping forward onto Ebby, who's got flash. May need to burn it yet. That's a lot of damage. The Spirit's Refuge is there, but he gets shoved straight out of it. He's going to try and pull the sword back through to buy himself some space. Hasn't used the flash yet, but gets stunned anyway. Messes to flash the boulder toss is the word I'm looking for, and Cog will have to back away.
Stuck between a rock and a nard place. Cog running him down in the long lane. Ebby just does not have the control he needs.
Muujin now face checks Arya, which is still a little bit scary. Of course, this Kassadin at level 11, continuing to get pretty scary. Well buffered out of the solar flare. There goes Utapon, and now maybe Steel can look to get in onto Hollow, but with a knockback and Muujin around, they're not going to find as much as they would like. Muujin continue to be problematic. TFL is indeed pop. Ace is going to gate. I'm not even sure, back towards the mid lane.
Back towards mid lane, looks like.
And they're trying to get that final outer tower, which would put DFM in an increasingly difficult position.
Well, it's a little bit more than difficult. It is absolutely
the
dire.
art of the understatement. Very British of me, I know, but yes, to put it more bluntly, it's looking real bad for DFM right now.
Yes, and I mean, I look at this draft, and while we keep saying, oh, DFM tend to lose their own games rather than their opponents winning it for themselves, I think this is one of the first games, the entire split, where DFM are looking at this and saying, actually, did we just get outplayed instead?
I mean, yes, and then there's also, we will chase Ace through for 30 seconds a little bit blindly, and also overshove bot lane without wards. Like, there's a certain amount of, yes, V3 have done exceptionally well to capitalize. Praise in particular to Muujin and Cog, who have had incredible games thus far. But you've also got to say that DFM gave them a few opportunities on a silver platter.
They did, looking a bit more like a challenger platter now for V3. And now, okay, so we are, again, waiting on a couple of different things to come through. DFM hugely in the deficit. Ebby keeping up in farm, but really not doing so well for himself. He just can't stay safe.
He's going to get run down. He's just dead. No way out. And that's another kill. And that's a third death for Ebby.
I was literally queuing up a point, just saying, Ebby, wow, he's kept up in farm, even though he's died 2 times. And then he goes onto a Gromp. Doesn't get the distance, again, needed from one of these DFM members to get away from Muujin. And Muujin, who was on that Stridebreaker Graves the last time, did good damage despite the item build, is on a carry in the jungle yet again of a different sort. This one, the Rampaging Viking sort. He's on to Kazu now as well.
He's just been face-checking all these bushes. He'll probably win the 1v2 here as well. Kazu not got that many options. Waiting, of course, to see whether the Kazu blows it back towards him.
Yes,
I'm not sure about that one. Utapon will not be able to get the bust shot, having to survive over the wall. Muujin's axe gets him down as well. Undertow drags him under.
They were trying to see if they could get the shutdown, not have the Ragnarok available. So Muujin
9,000 gold pre-20 minutes.
9,000 gold pre-20 minutes. Almost 500 gold lead a minute gained by V3. Gonna push in for another tower. DFM still with only that one dragon to their name. It's the only thing keeping this away from being one of those disastrous perfect games.
It really is. DFM, they needed to scale. They're not going to be allowed to anytime soon. At least they've got first items complete, but then you're looking over the side, it's a second item in for the side of Hollow, who's not even farmed any much better than the side of Utah. I think he's just got a kill, and he's got so many turrets. DFM are just miles and miles and miles behind in gold.
They have, and a lot of it is, of course, from Mugen's early game. This Olaf has fallen off in priority. But what happens when you are against that Hecarim pre-6? This is why in the LPL, we've seen Ignite Hecarim picked up. So you can actually run at the Olaf and say, okay, you're going to burst me out. Well, try doing that through an Ignite. The problem is, even in this game, if you did that, you'd have to do that with a Caston as your mid lane. You don't win the mid-jungle 2v2 post-6. Hecarim does fine in most of those 2v2s. But when you're this far behind, it doesn't really strike the same chord. You've lost a lot of deaths onto your top lane, onto your support. Still escaping the death chamber for now, but honestly, he wishes maybe he could have just traded one life for a lot more XP. I think that would be worth it at this point.
Maybe managing to buffer his way out of the wallop there. Ari's going to come around as well. Maybe try and get something. He's still pretty strong, but that's just the Mega Gnar out and don't get a lot for it. None of DFM's attempts have worked in this game. None at all. They have been turned around pretty much from the beginning, and that is a 97% chance for V3 to win this game, and you just can't disagree.
So you're saying there's a chance? Well, maybe not with this early Baron started up. It is coming towards 22 minutes, not quite as early as it could be. DFM, though, they're so far behind. Now their hand is forced. They have to take fights to check this Baron.
There's a Solar Flare onto this Hecarim, but he's got a Shen ult behind him. They could try and turn this around. Cog is a little way from Mega Gnar as yet, down to 4,000 HP. Mugen's going to go real low, has to burn the heal, and that actually might give DFM creeps to go in themselves. Won't quite find it. Kazu taken pretty low. They wanted to bait out some teleports, and they did not. They got the stand united, but Ebby has still got TP. All the while, though, bot lane tier 2 falls.
That is the way you throw the game, V3. I know you want to keep up the tempo, but that's how you genuinely lose things even from this almost insurmountable gold lead. Steel locked in place for what felt like about 5 seconds total. Doesn't have any Mercury treads. Not got that maximum amount of tenacity available, of course, with those Ionian boots of lucidity for the extra summoner, cooldown reduction, and of course just your ability haste. 2, they don't manage to chain it into anything, though. A lot of the damage was on that Baron. V3 kind of get away with murder at that one, but DFM, at least they're not staring at the worst case scenario from what could have been, you know, the game-killing play.
And not to make too much of a cynical comment about society, but they have enough money to make sure they have a get-out-of-jail-free option. As Steel comes in with the onslaught shadow trying to get onto Hollow, but he gets stunned in place again, he's just dead! He's gone again! Hollow gets that one Utapon run down as well. It's a double for Hollow, who's wild, rushing his way through the rest of this team. With 2 dead, maybe this time they can start Baron without too much of an interrupt.
And well, you can see the play in Steel's eyes. It's okay, right, that's the Blade Whirl down from the Samira. Maybe we can play around that. Well, no, you can't. There's just too quick of a collapse coming in from V3. Another stun coming in. 2v2, 3v2, not enough. DFM still finding nothing in this game.
On to the Baron, go V3. DFM can't contest anyway, anyhow this time out, and the snowball at 11,000 gold, a 23, make that nearly 24 minutes. A Baron, 5 towers, 2 dragons. It's looking V3's game to lose, and it'll be pretty hard to throw this.
We could have said that at 10 minutes with that kind of lead. DFM just did not know how to deal with the Olaf. They thought, maybe we can take a fight, try and sneak a lead onto someone like this Kasim, but now they don't have any of those leads. They lost those fights. They gave over their extra gold, and then they didn't have the ability to comfortably slide into any way to play this game. Hollow commits the flash, gets themselves the double wild rush. At least Arya gets out, but this Kasim has not managed to have an impact anywhere on this map so far. V3, they are cool, they're calm, they're collected. They're cold-hearted killers in this
one. Not again, Ebby. You can't do this to me, buddy. He's going to get slowed by the Chilling Smite. Flashes the Undertow, but in comes Mugen. He's going to keep running at the man. He's still got a Spirit's Refuge, but I think it's going to be enough for Solar Flare as well. Cask means nothing. He just runs him down the lane. Ebby.
Mugen is here to win a championship. He is here to say, you know, DFM, we're actually the defending champions. I wasn't here for last split, but they had a pretty good jungler in themselves. Let's see if we can reprise that in the Japanese region.
Oh, man alive. And the thing is, it's not so much a snowball as it is an avalanche at this point, and DFM are completely snowed under. This is all, in some ways, off that one chase onto the Twisted Fate that went so horribly wrong, and now Utapon's about to get run down as well. Mugen's just going to keep going! This Olaf, I thought you were nerfed! You weren't supposed to be like this anymore!
That he wasn't. Where's Aria? He's topside. Maybe you can again try and sneak a kill onto this Castin, but it'll be too late.
Here
Too
goes
late.
Steel.
Going in the mid lane.
They're going to try and get something onto Hollow maybe, but they just don't have damage. Yet they finally get a kill. It's 1, but it's still going to be 1 back. Make that 2 back. They're going to try and get onto Reiner. Utapon is trying to shoot out as best they can, but the stopwatches, that's what the gold bought them, the opportunity to use those watches in such an aggressive manner. And with Utapon and Arya the only men surviving, V3 can shove into end here, potentially.
Okay, got your kill. Game's over, DFM. You can go home. They don't get themselves another one. Teleport deep from Castin. He's fishing for something. I think that's actually been some wards, some pings onto it. V3 choosing the safe way back. Gonna recall the red side jungle of DFM. Arya not gonna find anything for this play.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. The game isn't over yet. I half wondered with the massive advantage where they could, but the HP bars just weren't there. See this fight again. It's just so much gold. The DFM combo just doesn't have enough teeth to it.
No, because, well, I mean, you can get some damage from your Chem Tank, Hecarim, CC coming through. And they do shut down Hollow before things come through. But, I mean, at this point, Cog is a significant damage threat. You don't have the tank stats to outlast the Gnar and the Mega Gnar bar and the damage that comes through it. Utapon has to flash away. It has to get, well, it doesn't even have the flash for that one. It has to get out of dodge anyway against that gold card, and that cleanse is blown too. That is about as good as a play can go for DFM. It wasn't even that good.
Yeah, the game is at least somewhat stalled, but look at that gold right now. It's you know, more like 15,000 gold at this point. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen a gold lead quite that intense. Just look at Muujin. Look how strong he is. He is out-leveling every single member of DFM.
2.5 levels over Steel. Look at that. That is not just the 2-level advantage on the scorecard.
3 items to 1 on the bit.
It is a huge round of items. So he has a GA. He doesn't even care about going in as deep as he can possibly get. This is the kind of point where he can trade 1 for 1, but it's not actually 1 for 1. That GA is going to bring him right back.
No, but like the only person with a second item on DFM is Utapon. He's got a Phantom Dancer, but there's 3 items complete on the side of Hollow. Like, everybody, it feels like, on V3 has got a 3rd item, whereas DFM are struggling to put together 2nd, as we mentioned. It's just a massive, massive gold discrepancy.
And so, is this game going to be put to bed? Do we have some more of that classic DFM magic yet to happen? V3 look poised to even up this series on their side choice game of Game 2. DFM, are they thinking about the next game already? What can they do in this one?
They better be hoping they're playing like Dumbledore if they're using magic, because it's got to be something absolutely insane to come back in this game. Not there yet. Muujin's still around on the side this tower, about to fall, and DFM with Ebby so low, probably have to retreat away. Muujin just throwing axes like, I don't care that he's built tank, he will run you over.
And you also have Ace sat there with the spellbook, who's picked up an exhaust. If the Cassidin goes in too deep, it's not actually going to go get that kill. DFM need everything to go perfectly, but perfect against a 16,000 gold lead is far from it. At this point, you are waiting for the most egregious of mistakes from V3. You're waiting for someone to be hugely out of position, a Baron to be stolen, I don't know, just V3 to turn off their screens and play like I do in solo queue. It's just not that likely to happen. I mean, this is at the point where I'd be calling this a 99% chance of victory for V3. It's that far ahead.
And that's exactly it. Look, you mentioned profit beside me, 99% chance indeed. There is 50 seconds until this Baron. 3 inhibitors down are DFM. They've got a minute plus before their mid lane inhibitor even respawns. That Baron goes down, V3 will shove in to try and end, and I don't think DFM will have anything they can say about it at all. They are dealing with double super minions in every lane. They are down every inhibitor. They've got only 2 towers outside their nexus remaining.
The one thing you have going for you is you're not getting denied minions because they're all super minions pushing in towards you, right? No, genuinely, that is something you can play around. And at least it's a Cloud Soul again. That's not a game-ending soul. Maybe at this point you say, okay, right, well, Baron is, it's spawning. Do we even have to fight for that? I think actually if you lose Steel, trying to go for, you know, a Baron Steel, game ends. The problem is, if you do give over the Baron in a 5v5, does the game also end? Do you still need to go for that Hail Mary? They're not even in position to do so.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Hell, you might already be in exactly hell. We mentioned avalanches, and hell will need to freeze over, and DFM will have to claw their way out from under the snow if they want even a glimpse of a chance of victory. The Baron is dead. We've mentioned the gold lead. The waves are getting shoved in, and V3 are looking to make sure they put that final nail in the coffin. It's already been lowered into the ground.
There's a significant lack of Sean Bean if DFM want to pierce through that snow you were talking about. V3 looking for the death push.
That's Ebby going in, but he's going to be left out and has to flash straight away. Cold goes in, that's a big solar flare. It's on to Kazu. That's not necessarily the person you absolutely want, but Unipod is eviscerated mid-flight. He gets nothing. That will be the GA pop. Mujin will respawn onto the Fountain Gold. Detonation FocusMe, and they 3 respond in emphatic fashion. Game 2 goes their way, and Detonation FocusMe had no way from 10 minutes in the game.
I have never seen DFM beaten like that. Never, ever. That is frankly ridiculous from this team at V3. And, well, I'm going to get myself a marker because I need to write something on my hands because we have a series on our hands.
I'll leave that horrible pun beside myself, and I'm going to take a quick break so we can play musical chairs once again. And I'll be back with an analyst desk and deal with my shell shock in the meantime. Stick around for a minute or two, and we'll come back with some post-game analysis. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still a little shell-shocked here after V3 absolutely eviscerate Detonation FocusMe. We were trying to discuss in the kind of little gap there whether we've ever seen DFM beaten like that domestically, ever. They've been playing since 2012, and that was a hell of a shutdown, Maple.
Yeah, that's the hardest I've seen them get stomped. And, like, their game plan just instantly fell apart. It only took, like, 4 or 5 minutes before the Shen was behind and the Hecarim was just out of the game.
Yeah, let's get on with it then. Counterfeit, tell me about what the hell happened with Kazu in the bot lane, because that's 2 games. He's died the same way twice for First Blood.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're starting to see, even in the games where V3 don't win, they certainly got a very consistent game plan. Get first blood down the bottom lane on the AD carry. In this case, it allowed them to have a much, much bigger impact on the game. But I do have to wonder, with this being a best of 5, how many times a team can pull off exactly the same strategy and actually
Hey, it was
have
my
it
plan.
work?
Yoshi's like,
Maybe I know what it is. It worked out pretty well in this game too. Maple's nice and smug about it, but that was only the start of the problems because 1 kill down, it's not the end of the world. You got double summoners out of Hollow, maybe you can play around that. But then Joshi, I think we had a little bit of deja vu. Roll this clip, please, Patrick. A little bit of a throwback here. What's going on with this Twisted Fate chase?
Yeah, so first off, I just want to say he's got tier 2 boots already. He is very fast. He wants to get those ultimates off quickly, and I have to imagine he's also running the Time Warp Tonic, right? So as this potion is running, he gets a lot of movement speed. But a couple things are wrong about this. One, it takes you a long time to catch him. This man is very fast, and you don't actually have a whole lot of damage at this point. So it gives Olaf time to run across the entire map, Gnar to teleport back, and suddenly it gets turned around on you. And as you said, a bit of deja vu. I don't know how many of you guys were watching Worlds. It's a small League of Legends tournament that you might have spent some time watching, but what do you think about this? Does this look a little bit familiar for any LJL fans?
Well, what is it with... Oh, incredible. I mean, it's almost like a bit of a mirror. It's galling to watch this back, but it's nice to see V3 have at least learnt their lesson.
Yeah,
Oh my God, we could
shoes
kill the
on the
Cassidy.
other foot.
Oh my god, we can kill him.
We can get the TF. Guys!
It's painful to watch this. No man's
surely the
escapes.
Cassin is not going to turn to kill us.
Surely not.
Yeah.
Never seen that before. Oh no. Yeah, so this, of course, if people aren't aware, was V3 overchasing versus a Kassadin at the World Championship last year. This time, though, they are the one overchased by a Kassadin and turn it around just beautifully. Oh, this is sad to watch.
Yeah. I feels like the moment where their mental shatters, right? Both for V3 back there and for DFM today. Like, at this point, you're just spending so much time on this play, it doesn't work. And as we, roll through a couple more times where V3 gets a little bit of a lead, chasing people around the map, one of the big things that I think we got to talk about, guys, is Gnar counter picks.
Yeah.
Gnar, good champion, right? Has a lot of bully potential, but other regions have found answers to it. Japan hasn't.
Definitely less so. I think that's fair to say. We don't have that many Aurelia players, that many Jace players in the top lane. Maple, your thoughts on the Shen here? I mean, compositionally, maybe it makes sense with the Hecarim, but it fell behind so badly so early that I'm still not sure about this one.
Yeah, we don't see this combo very often anymore. Like, we used to see a lot of Hecarim Shen, but then it evolved into like Seraphine plus the Hecarim. But like, I made the point at the start, like, this Gnar, if you don't have a really good counter pick, you should just ban it on red side, because I think it's going to be first picked every single game.
I think that's absolutely fair to say.
Yeah.
Cog proves his might on the champion again. Muujin. That Olaf, we said, yeah, it might be a little out of meta, but Muujin plays it well. Does it into the Hecarim again. It happened versus Rascal Jesters yesterday. It happens versus DFM today. Counterfeit, we've just rolled through a load of those clips of just Muujin with the assistance of Ace and Cog running over the jungle. Everywhere they went, they just got kills. How many times did he run down Ebby?
I mean, I certainly lost track, but this does touch on one of the good things we saw from V3 in that first game, which was when they were given the opportunity to chase down DFM, which wasn't that many, but when they did, they executed it extremely well. I think in game 2, we're merely seeing the extension of what V3 were able to pull off in game number 1. So hopefully, as a big V3 fan, they'll continue to get opportunities to do that in the rest of the series.
I saw that, Maple.
Stan of a team. No shame on the desk from Counterfeit. He pulled off a little bit of Sith magic in the pre-game. This is where he's at. That smug face is just infuriating, isn't it, ladies and gents?
Counterfeit and I have very different perspectives on this, right? He's like,
Maple's
look
keeping
at
you
all
nice
the
and
cool
separated
things
here.
V3 is doing. Like, it's good job, Maple, like staying between us, because I feel like this is one of those games where DFM just don't understand what their composition does, right? Like, you have a composition with Kassadin and Tristana. Right, you are not going to be winning these fights early on. You are not going to be able to take them. The fact that they got the first dragon is a bit of a miracle, but you're really waiting for this game to scale up. You're not necessarily need to take these fights because you don't have priority in the mid lane. You can't want to run around with Hecarim because you don't have a mid laner to follow you up. And they just tried to take a lot of these fights anyway, saying, hey, we're DFM. We're the best team fighters in the entire region. It doesn't matter what champs we're playing, but it does. Right? like
A little bit of arrogance, like, okay.
What characters you're playing.
Like Joshi throwing out some mad wisdom, despairing over DFM's game plan, where they just decide to fight with Kassadin, Hecarim, Tristana way before they're ready. Yes, Tristana's not bad level 1 to 3. I grant you, she can jump on people, but after that, you need to wait for items, and you can't fall behind 15,000 gold to 20 minutes. Maple, one last point before we go to break. Then, should DFM fans be worried?
I don't know, that draft is very suspect because, like, you want some wave clear with Caston, right? Because you want time to scale, but then that comp just, like, was so laser focused on this one wombo combo play that they can make with Shen. Like, oh, you have a jump? Alright, Shen will pair up with that. But then their comp at the end just made 0 sense. And that's a bit worrying, like, if they can make such a big draft blunder.
A little bit of a draft blunder, a little bit of concern from Maple. Counterfeit remains smug, dark, Sith Lord indeed. I'm messing up my Harry Potter and Star Wars references at the same time. I'm disappointed in myself. Either way, before I make more of a fool of myself, I'm going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be here with Game 3. Series tied up 1-1 after V3 crushed DFM in that second one.